Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Tuesday, the second day of January, year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the John Moore Show. Proper tip of the day. With it's so many states getting unusually cold weather and more cold weather coming, I want to once again encourage everybody to make sure their car is checked out, that your automobile, truck is in excellent condition, the battery especially, but everything else as well, the tires, of course, brakes. Make sure your car kit is has exactly in it what you need: blankets, food, water, radio, maybe a candle. And there's a product, if you have a gasoline motor vehicle, called HEAT. It's HEET, Hotel Echo Tango. It's mostly alcohol, but what it does is help keep that gas line from freezing up. Have you ever had that happen? I have. When it gets below zero and you're going 60 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour, it gets really cold underneath that car. So a can of HEAT would be a good thing in the gasoline. First show of the year. We're hoping to have a couple of guests join us here, and we will see if they do or not. Let's see. Well, this is the first day of the year, and I should mention, when I say Year of our Lord 2018, I do that for several reasons. First of all, it's true. This is the Year of our Lord 2018. The second of all, it irritates Muslims, and third, it irritates liberals and atheists. So there's 4 good reasons to let everybody know that this is Year of our Lord 2018. Okay, looks like our guests have not called in, so we will go ahead and commence with open lines here. If our guests call in, I'm sure my engineer will let us know, and we will bring them on board. We've got CPR training for our preparedness group here in Osage Township, and Viburnum area this coming Saturday at 0900. The tuition is $15. There'll be a qualified CPR instructor, and you'll receive a certificate when the course is completed. We have training once a month with our preparedness group. Our training is all set up and ready to go. If you want to follow us on Facebook, here's our Facebook page. It's Davisville Readiness Group. Davisville Readiness Group. And we have our training for 2018 all posted there, ready to go. Training on Saturday mornings. Sometimes it's going to be once or twice this coming year. We'll have training on over a 2-day period of time of Saturday and Sunday. But typically it's going to be, with a few exceptions, the first Saturday of every month. There's going to be a couple of exceptions because of holidays, things like that. Yeah, and you need to be doing this yourself. That's why I'm talking about this, is to encourage you to take action in your community, in your village, your town, your township, your church, whatever it might be, to start your own training program. This is a time of year when people consider where they are in their life and where they would like to be. That happens a lot towards the end of December, first week of January. It's a great time to take that into consideration. Do you want to have training for your group? Maybe you've got just a group of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people. Whatever the size of your group is, getting training would be a good thing. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, you have to have a group of people that wants to be trained. That's obvious. Next, you need to decide what's the highest priority. If you've got a group of medical professionals already, maybe first aid and CPR won't be as high a priority. But for most groups, most of the time, getting training in first aid and CPR is, in my opinion, not optional. So that would be a good thing to make that a very high priority. Second priority should be emergency radio communications. Once again, if everybody in your group, like the group I work with, one of the groups I work with, almost all the adults have their ham license, and that decision was made many, many years ago. But for most groups, most of the time, there's going to be few, if any, licensed ham operators in the group. There'll be people who will become enthusiastic about it, others who will reluctantly get involved, and others who won't want anything to do with it. That's typically what happens. Very typically what happens. So focus on those two things first. After that, well, it's going to be a mixed bag. It's going to depend on what part of the country you're in, what kind of terrain you've got to deal with, whether you have a safe haven, if you don't have a safe haven. Lots of factors go into training from there. Assuming you do have a safe haven, you may want to have, like one of our classes is going to be a wild edible and herb walk. One of our members is very well qualified in the identification of wild herbs and wild edibles. This year we've done it in 3 different locations. This year we'll be back at her place, and we will do a walk and learn to identify and harvest wild herbs and wild edibles and how to prepare them for either medicinal use or prepare them to eat. That's going to be one of our training classes this coming year. If you have a safe haven but live a distance from there, 20 or 30 or 100 miles, you might want to train on getting from where you live to the safe haven. Learn what the alternate routes are. Learn how to take those routes not only in the daytime but also at night. Now, out here in the Ozarks, when it's dark on these back roads, it's like being in a cave. Seriously, especially if there's cloud cover, it is literally like being in a cave. It is pitch black dark, and everything under those conditions. I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, everything looks very different. Everything looks very different. Everything looks very different. So make sure that, say there's a family, here's a mom and a dad, make sure that mom knows how to drive those roads also. And really the best thing is for her to drive as opposed to being a passenger. I know that works better for me. If I'm sitting as a passenger, I won't learn the roads as well as if I'm driving. So dad needs to drive the roads. Mom needs to drive the roads. If there's teenagers or adult children, they need to drive those roads, both directions, and do it in the daytime and at night as well. Looks like we're getting close to having our guest here, and once they're on board, we will bring them on board with us here. So let's see. Dave, are you there?
Hello.
Dave, good morning.
Hey.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I hear you. We've got Dave. Pronounce your last name for us, Dave.
Gahary.
Gahary, just like I thought it was. Irish, right?
I don't know. You never know nowadays, right?
Well, I would guess Irish. How about Phil? Is he going to be with us?
Phil is, yes. We're going to have to call him on his phone if we could.
Okay.
Should I do it here myself?
It's probably best for our engineer to do it.
Okay, let me do that right now.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about an event that happened half a century ago, June 8th, 1967, when an American warship was attacked by the Israeli Air Force. And the President of the United States did not intervene. In fact, he stopped the proper response from the U.S. Navy jet fighters to protect the USS Liberty from the attack that went on for many, many hours. And we're going to talk about the book that's been written about that, which is titled Erasing the Liberty, and the movie, which is, I believe, still being produced, isn't it, Dave?
That's right. Let me just, John, if I could, because I spent many years researching the Liberty, and there's a lot of information out there that isn't quite accurate. And it's not anybody's fault. It's because of the nature of this whole massacre. Many people call it an incident. Many people call it an attack, but it was a massacre. I just want to mention to the listeners that the Liberty wasn't a warship. It only had 4 50 caliber machine guns on board for the purpose of repelling boarders. And the attack lasted, well, from my research, it's about an hour. Some people say it lasted longer, but I'm comfortable with that figure. I also just want to say that Phil, who's on right now, he can only be with us for a short while because he has some things to tend to. So I'm going to just shut up if I could. And Phil was on board the Liberty during the massacre, and so please, spend as much time with him as you can, and I'll be here listening. And if you need me, I'm here.
Okay, Phil Turney. Good morning. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thanks. How you doing? And Happy New Year.
Really good. Thank you, sir. How long do we have before we need to scoot off to your next event?
Well, I'm gonna be here for at least an hour. Then I got to scoot.
Oh, okay. Well, we've only got 45 minutes, so we'll just get started then. Well, Phil, you were on board the USS Liberty on June the 8th, 1967. What was your job on board the ship, sir?
My job was in the ship fitter shop, and that consisted of repairs to hull piping and welding and things of that nature. And my damage control station was repair 2 forward as assistant on-scene leader, which meant that we would put out fires, do anything we could to keep the ship afloat. So it was very hectic and very discouraging day.
I bet. What time of day did the attack begin?
It began at 2 o'clock, Eastern Standard Time. It would have been later in the Med, but at 2 o'clock the attack started. Now our ship was overflown by military aircraft from the Zionist State of Israel, with the Star of David painted clearly on their airplanes. And they overflew us for approximately 6 to 8 hours. They identified our ship as USS Liberty and Friendly, American. Our flag was always flying, and we weren't one bit afraid of the Israelis. We were glad they were there just in case somebody from one of the Arab states decided to take on our ship. So we had no idea who was attacking us because the airplanes, the jets that were attacking us were unmarked. So we had no idea who was attacking us.
So it was about 7 p.m. in the evening when the attack began, sir?
Pardon me?
It was about 7 p.m. in the evening local time when the attack began?
That would be 2 o'clock local time.
You said 2 p.m. Eastern, sir.
Yeah,
2 p.m. Eastern
so
would be about 5 p.m. local in the Mediterranean.
Well, no, it was 2 o'clock in the Mediterranean.
Oh, okay. Well, that would have been mid-morning. It would have been about 9 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, now we got our wires crossed there for a moment, but it sounds like we're on the same page now.
Yeah.
So they were flying over for several hours, and what type of aircraft were they, sir? The Israeli.
They were a flying boxcar. Several of those. There was Cessnas, 210 turbos, and I didn't see any other aircraft than that.
Okay.
So, but we picked up messages from their aircraft back to their headquarters. AGTR-5 flying an American flag. They looked us up at Jane's fighting books, which clearly showed our ship as to be a spy ship, USS Liberty. They know exactly who they were, and we knew who they were. So, as like I said, we had no fear of the Israelis at all. I mean, for goodness sakes, they were our supposed ally. And,
I'm curious. Phil, was the USS Liberty a sister ship or a similar type of ship to the Pueblo?
Yes, except the Liberty was a much larger ship and carried more personnel.
Gotcha. And,
Captain Bucher of the USS Pueblo, when he was attacked by North Korea, he of course he gave up his ship and saved all hands aboard except one man was killed during the initial attack. But he's been quoted and told me personally that he would never, ever, ever gotten as close to North Korea if he had known about what happened to the USS Liberty. Now here's a commander of a spy ship that had no idea what happened to the USS Liberty because it was covered up so well.
Right.
They had a board of inquiry that lasted 6 days, and it was over. And it was concluded there was a mistaken identity, which is a flat-ass lie. And, we were all ordered never to say a word about it, or we'd end up in the penitentiary or worse.
Really? And was that order in writing?
No, it was a verbal warning.
Okay.
Here you
hold that thought, Phil. Hold that thought. We have a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy cleaners, $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. The toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 2nd day of January. We're visiting with Ralph Turney and Dave Gahary. We're talking about what happened on June 8th, 1967. There's a tile on my website. You scroll down the right side of my webpage at thelibertyman.com. You'll see the tile for the USS Liberty. Click on there, and you'll be at the home page for Erasing the Liberty, where you can learn how to order the book, which I encourage you to do. And you can also see the trailer for the movie. I believe you click on the movie, you can see the trailer. Yeah, you can. Phil, the film it's being produced, is there a release date in mind yet?
Yes, there is. We'll have it completed sometime later this year,
okay.
And it'll be available for. We're going to try to get it on Netflix or HBO or the big screen, but we will get it out, and people will learn the real truth about the massacre aboard USS Liberty, June 8, 1967. Now, when they attacked our ship, you have to realize they just didn't attack our ship. They attacked all of America when they attacked the flagship of the United States of America. And then our government protected the murderers and pretended like it never happened. And that's been going on for the last 51 years. I was 20 years old at the time of the attack. Now I'm 71. So it's been a heartburn for me for many, many years. Now, this isn't the first book that I've done. I did another book called What I Saw That Day, and this book here, Erasing the Liberty, outweighs the first book by 1,000%, because we've learned so much more with all of Dave's research and interviewing survivors and other people that are interested in getting the truth out. It's quite an amazing book. It's one of a kind. In fact, it's one of the best books that's ever been written about the USS Liberty and its aftermath. It's very exciting.
Right. How old were you when the attack happened, Phil?
I was 20 years old.
20 years old. Well, I'm just a year younger than you. I was at Fort Holabird Military Intelligence School when this event happened, and I was in Vietnam when the Pueblo incident happened, and being in military intelligence, I knew in great detail about the Pueblo, but I never heard about what happened with USS Liberty until many, many years later, and I was outraged when I found out. An act of war by our alleged ally. I would like to see an apology and restitution on behalf of the State of Israel. What would you like to see happen, sir?
I would like to see the government of Israel pay their dues. No one should be allowed to get by with cold-blooded, premeditated murder of anyone, especially American sailors doing what they were told to do by our government. And I would like to see the people. There's people alive still today that took place and were in the cockpits, killing innocent Americans, and the torpedo boats, firing torpedoes at us. Now, there was over 850 cannon and rocket holes in that ship, over 5,000 armor-piercing bullets. Napalm dropped on the bridge of our ship and the aft of our ship. 3 torpedo boats fired 5 torpedoes at us, and only one of them hit us in the starboard side, instantly blowing to bits 25 of America's finest National Security Agency personnel and CIA. Now, these guys worked directly for the National Security Agency. I was not a spook or spy like you were. I was a ship's company. We made sure these guys were comfortable and got to where they needed to be to do their job in the listening aspect of the USS Liberty, which was at that time the most sophisticated intelligence gathering ship in the world. three other sister ships.
Right. Yeah, you were doing electronic intercepts is what they were doing. And I was not aware till just now that torpedoes were fired and one hit the USS Liberty. It's amazing the USS Liberty did not sink. That seemed to be the objective to me.
Oh, absolutely. They wanted to sink us as fast as they could and blame it on one of the Arab states and bring us into the war. But even with all their firepower, we had none. We had nothing to fight back with but our wits and our bare hands. And they didn't
Hold
get
that
the job
thought, Bill. Hold that thought. We've got a break here. We'll be back after the break.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back. We're back here on Tuesday, the 2nd day of January. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Well, we're in a new year here, and people think a lot about health and where they'd like to be with their health. It seems like more at the end and at the beginning of the new year. So if you're thinking about your health and you have issues with pain, arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, you need an energy cleaner. If you have issues getting a good night's sleep, you need an energy cleaner. It's my home business. I'm the guy that boxes them up. I take them to the Cherryville store where you can get all-you-can-eat catfish buffet on Friday evening for $8. And I deliver them to the post office there at the country store, and they go out priority mail. When you order a mattress pad, I'm the guy that reconfigures them, makes them compatible to the energy cleaner, and I box them up and take them to the Cherryville store to ship them out to you. Only $285 for the energy cleaner. I'm now offering a 90-day money-back guarantee. I do take PayPal, MasterCard, and Visa. If you need to send a check, just drop it in the mail to my address at thelibertyman.com. Toll-free our line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We're visiting with Mr. Phil Turney and Mr. Dave Gahary. We're talking about the USS Liberty, the book, and the movie. If you've got a question or comment, give us a call here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. Phil, I'm reading here the synopsis of the book. Apparently, the Israeli jets also fired on the life rafts that were being deployed. I was not aware of that either.
That's correct. We had enough life rafts on that ship for every soul aboard there. There was 294 crew aboard the USS Liberty. And it's interesting, by the way, that you are the Liberty Man. What a great name for a product, and what a great name for your show.
I appreciate that. I need to ask you, Phil, was the abandoned ship order given?
Yes, it was. The abandoned ship was, the order was given, and there was only 3 life rafts left out of 294 people aboard that ship to get them to safety. Now, I cut one of the life rafts loose myself. It hit the water, inflated, and floated down the port side, and the torpedo gunman, I don't know if they shot the one I cut off, it sunk it, I don't know, but there was 2 of them sunk and one taken aboard their boats as a trophy for their kill. Now, again, there was 294 people aboard there. 71% of the crew was either dead or wounded. That's quite a number. So
it's horrendous.
Casualty rate was enormous, and like I say, we never got any help from anybody when our government knew we were under attack 15 minutes into the attack. And President Johnson said that he wasn't going to embarrass his ally. And so the rescue aircraft was called not once but twice from USS Saratoga that sent aircraft to come to our aid. They could have been there in 15 or 20 minutes, which would have stopped the torpedo boats from firing their torpedoes, and 24 more souls or 25 more souls would have been saved. Now, if Johnson knew who was attacking us and we didn't, that doesn't add up. How did he know who was attacking us? Well, we didn't. We didn't have a clue who was attacking us until torpedo boats showed up, and they were flying the Israeli flag. We thought they were there to help us, but no, they weren't. They were there to kill us all. They also sent helicopters over with commandos in them, ready to board our ship and scuttle the ship and kill us.
Really?
Yes. They were about 25 feet off the starboard side, the starboard gun mount, and I was on the main deck, and one of the commandos had his feet on the skid of the helicopter, ready to board our ship, and I looked at him, he looked at me, and I just gave him the finger, and he gave me the finger back and smiled, and all of a sudden the helicopters left. So the gig was up around the world that everybody knew who was attacking us. That's when the cover-up started. It started in earnest to keep everybody quiet. We had a flag admiral, Admiral Isaac Kidd. He's the one that warned me never to say a word about what happened, because I told him everything I saw, what they did, who they were shooting at, the life rafts, and so on and so forth. As I said, I was in damage control. I was all over that ship. And I stayed with that ship, brought her to Malta, and then I stayed with her and brought her home back to the United States of America, a skeleton crew. There was only a few of us that stayed with the ship.
Was the ship under power or towed back across the Atlantic?
We were under our own power in Malta, doing about 4 knots, because we had a 40 by 40 foot hole on the starboard side of the ship. We could barely move.
40 by 40? Oh my God!
Yes, you could put your whole house in it, and it was
well, it was sealed off. The watertight doors is what saved you then, obviously.
Well, on the interior, yes, but all the exterior above the waterline, every watertight door on that ship was hit. Every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a well-planned attack. All the antennae aboard that ship was destroyed except one that was taken out of commission. That wasn't the tuner wasn't on, so they couldn't zero in on it. And one of the men, Terry Halbardier, got a long coaxial cable to it, got the tuner working, and like I say, within 15 and 20 minutes we had a SOS call out to Rockstar, under attack by unknown jet aircraft, and this, went out to whole world. Everybody heard it,
Right.
Including people in Vietnam, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
And,
High frequency radio is a marvelous thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when we radioed that it was the Israelis who were doing it, the attack tapered off, and they fired at our stretcher bearers, firefighters. Anything that moved, they would shoot, kill, or maim. The mess decks was a triage for the wounded. There wasn't a spot in the mess decks or sick bay you could put another human being, because that's how many were hurt or injured severely. I helped in operations that evening, and one of the men I was holding a light from Doc Kiefer, so I could see what he's doing. He died. He died on the table there, right in front of us. They cut him open, and as soon as Doc cut him open, he started put a few stitches back in him, and we laid him on the deck, covered him up, and went to the next man. So it was quite a night too. We didn't get any sleep for days. The men wouldn't even sleep in their bunks. They would sleep on top of the deck outside, because they were afraid that they were going to come back and get us, and they didn't want to be caught below decks. So it was.
So okay, Phil, when did the U.S. Navy respond and get help to you? How long did it take?
It took 18 hours. When
18
they were only
hours.
15 minutes away. So they sent the USS America, USS Davis, USS Massey to come to our aid. The America was a very large aircraft carrier. It flew all the seriously wounded off the ship and took them to their medical facilities, and flew a lot of them off to land bases where they could get more definitive care. But it was there wasn't.
Were they
like
taken
I
to
said,
Turkey? Was the nearest base in Turkey at the time?
Yes, Turkey and Crete.
In
And
Crete.
in fact,
Okay.
the closest island we had to us was Crete. We could have been there in a day, or just a little over a day. Instead of letting us go to Crete, they sent us to Malta. Damn near a 4-day trip with a 40 by 40 foot hole in the starboard side. And if you can imagine,
Well, it's going to slow you down.
oh yeah, we were only doing 4 or 5 knots, and so the thing that we come up with is they wanted us to sink on the way to Malta, and we almost did. So it was something you never want to forget. In fact, when that torpedo hit us, it picked the ship completely up out of the water. It shook it. You could hear the ship crying out, the metal twisting, and it was a horrible deal. We landed back into the water. The ship automatically started listing very violently to the starboard side, and then all of a sudden it quit. We quit listing, and we stayed afloat. Lord only knows why, but we did. So that's why Dave and I are here now, trying to tell the people that we've been doing this for years and years and years. I was a host on RBN for approximately 10 years, telling this story on the Liberty Hour and Your Voice Counts. So I'm real familiar with RBN, and I thank John Statmiller for all the help he's given us through the years, getting the word out on their great radio station, Republic Broadcasting Network. You know, if you want to get the truth, that's where you go. It's RBN.
Absolutely. Mr. Statmiller does a good job getting the word out. I understand, Phil, that one of the Israeli pilots refused to attack the American ship and returned to base.
That is what I've been told also, and he was court-martialed in prison. He would not attack the American ship. That's what I've been told. If it's true or not, I can't definitively say yes or no, but it sounds reasonable. to me. So I'd guess that was the story, the real deal.
There's traditionally has been a number of American expatriates serving in the Israeli military, usually with Jewish heritage, but not always. What a story! And this movie, when it comes out later this year, sometime in the next 12 months, I hope gets a good review, which I'm sure it will get a good review, and gets spread far and wide. I'll have this title up for the foreseeable future to get people to connect to your website here, Phil. I dearly would have liked to have a couple of our Air Force pilots or Navy pilots have a broken radio and not got the order to stop to return to base. That's what should have happened, in my opinion. I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Yeah, the pilots that did return to, some of them returned to a land base. The others went back aboard Saratoga in America. And they were so angry, one of the pilots took off his helmet and threw it on the ground, and it was retrieved by one of the guys off the America, and we have that helmet in our possession now, and I don't know what the pilot's name was or anything like that. I haven't seen the helmet, but I know Dave's got it secure somewhere. So he could tell you more about that and the circumstances surrounding.
Dave, let's hear about Dave. Still there? Let's hear about that helmet.
Yeah, well, actually, there were what I know about are two instances where one pilot, when he was forced to return and abandon the Liberty, he took his helmet off, smashed it on the deck of the America, and kicked it over the side. And so that one obviously is gone. The other one was smashed on the deck, and we have that one that's cracked. So he must have done it pretty hard. So these guys are really pissed off that they were not allowed to go to the aid, which it sounds crazy, but the craziest thing is that nobody knows about it. Here you are, you were in Vietnam, and you know very little about the Liberty. I know Navy guys who were in the Mediterranean when the massacre took place, and they know nothing about the Liberty. So like Phil said earlier, the cover-up was so complete that nobody knows about it, even people who were there. And I just uncovered something that, and Phil and I didn't even have a chance to talk about this because of the holidays, but I just uncovered something that really illustrates starkly how the cover-up began almost instantly and how it filtered through to the most, what you might think are insignificant areas of the Department of Defense. There was everybody knows the DD Form 214,
right,
when we get out of the military, our separation papers. But there's a DD Form 1300, and that is report a casualty form, and that's given to the next of kin. And one of the young men who was massacred, murdered by the torpedo, Jerry Goss, this was sent to his parents, and the date of it was just 1 week after the massacre, June 15th, 1967. And even though it was just a week after the massacre, it says, died 8 June 1967 as a result of drowning when the USS Liberty AGTR-5 was accidentally attacked by Israeli forces in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. So even 1 week before any official investigation was ever done, the Department of Defense was ordering its paper pusher unit to put out that the Liberty was accidentally attacked.
Right. Well, that began at the highest levels. That was the third, by the way, everybody listening, that was the third day of the Six-Day War. The Six-Day War began the 5th of June, 1967, and ended the 10th of June, 1967. And So that was the third day of the 6-day war. We got a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. More here on Tuesday, the 2nd of January. We're talking about the USS Liberty. There's a tile on my website directing you to the website of the USS Liberty Memorial. Gentlemen, we got a former naval officer here, Mr. Leon Green, with a question. Good morning, Leon.
Morning, John. How are you?
Good. You got a question for...
I learned about... Yes. I'm going to be getting this video. I learned about it probably 10 years ago, and I was astounded about this. And, first you think it was a farce, but then the more you dug into it, and I learned that this was the only captain that received posthumously the Medal of Honor, and there were so many more that were allocated to awarded and a lot more medals. And what blew me away was that it was caused because it was a surveillance ship and it found the massacre. I think it was at Al Arish, was the place where a lot of Egyptians were executed. That apparently you caught that, and then that was the catalyst that caused this to happen. Is that correct?
Phil, you want me to answer that?
I could say this, that a lot of the spooks aboard the ship, the spies, if anybody could pick anything up, they certainly could. Now, we could bounce signals off the moon and send them back to National Security Agency within seconds. So I would say that that's an affirmative on that, and we had also Eye in the Sky, which was a very sophisticated moon-shaped type dish that you could see clear to the horizon. So we were only 12.5 miles off the coast of Egypt. So that very well could have been the catalyst too. I don't know, but I do know for a fact that they wanted us sunk, and they wanted us sunk fast, because in the time allotted to what they did to us, and the damage done, and the lives lost, and the lives wounded. I was one of the walking wounded. I was lucky. I got hit by shrapnel and napalm burns, but that was very, very low on the scale of so many that were severely wounded. I mean, they were wounded so badly you could barely even look at them. It just bring you into tears to see your shipmates in that kind of pain and that type of butchery that was put upon American sailors.
I agree, and I remember the statement that President Johnson said in the book and description I read off the Liberty website years ago. It said, "I want that GD ship to go to the bottom of the ocean," and I was just astounded by his betrayal. And it was. I would like to offer you my next hour if you like.
Okay, well, gentlemen, you want to stick around and we'll talk about this some more?
Well, yeah, I have to go, but Dave will take care of it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Okay. Phil, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. We'll continue with Dave Gahary in our second hour. And, Leon, I want you to stick around, too, because you are a former naval officer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got a top of the hour break. We'll be right back. back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Tuesday, the 2nd day of January 2018. Proper tip today. It is cold, record cold. Be sure your automobile is properly checked out. Good strong battery, good tires, everything's in great condition. Make sure you got your car kit that you need. And there's a product called Heat, that's H-E-E-T, Hotel Echo Tango, to put in your gasoline to help keep it from freezing. It is so cold that the gasoline could actually freeze. So that's your prepper tip of the day, and word to the wise is to be ready. We're visiting with Dave Gahary, excuse me, and I'm trying to do too many things at once here. And our friend Leon Green, who normally Leon and I talked the second hour about doTERRA essential oils, but Leon is also a former officer in the United States Navy, and we're talking about what happened on the 8th day of June, 1967, when the USS Liberty, an American naval ship, was attacked by the Israeli Navy and the Israeli Air Force. They were being very diligent in attempting to sink it, weren't they, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. And just let me mention one thing. Leon brought up something that Johnson allegedly said. Although I'd like to believe it, because Johnson really was a horrible character. There is no evidence that Johnson said that. The evidence exists that he said that get the planes back, he's not going to embarrass an ally over a ship and a few men, and he threatened an admiral, a rear admiral, that if he didn't do it, that he'd be pushing pencils. So I think that this is one of these instances where someone had created this story about Johnson, but doesn't have any basis in fact. What does have basis in fact is that Israel wanted the Liberty sunk, and Israel did it on purpose. So their excuse has been all of these decades that it was a case of mistaken identity. Well, that is a bald-faced lie, because the transcripts were uncovered relatively recently, which showed that they knew that they were firing on an American flagged vessel. And even though they knew it, they continued to fire on it. So the most scholarly work that was done on why this was done, you mentioned, Leon, the massacre that occurred on Egyptian prisoners of war, which did happen. Matter of fact, that's in the book. The Israelis even admitted it, and they offered to pay compensation to the families of the people that they murdered in a fashion that they claimed the Nazis had murdered people. Same exact thing. Shooting them in the back of the head, having the other Egyptians bury them, and then shooting them. So if the Nazis did what the state of Israel claims that they did, then they're no better than the Nazis. So they did do this. Whether or not the Liberty was attacked because of that, we don't know for sure. But the most scholarly research done points to the defense minister, Moshe Dayan, that one-eyed general, who was just appointed as the Minister of Defense actually on the first day of the so-called Six-Day War, which, as you said earlier, John, was June 5th.
Right.
So why it was done, we don't know for sure. We may never know that. We do know for sure that it was done on purpose. Johnson may have been involved. The reason that they went after the Liberty so viciously might have been because some information was uncovered by the Liberty, and they didn't want that out. Neither did Johnson. Why did they call rescue aircraft back twice? Well, remember, Vietnam was going on, and the Soviets were playing a huge part there in the Eastern Mediterranean, and there may have been some fear that if or at least this is what some folks want to believe, that if the U.S. launched some fighter aircraft, some F-4 Phantoms, which could have been there in 15 to 20 minutes from where they were at their speed of, I think, 1,600 miles per hour. If they did, then the Soviets might have been spooked and we could have been on our way to World War III. Well, that's not true because the hotline existed, and this was the first time it was actually used. So Johnson contacted the Premier Kosygin and told him that, Israel accidentally fired on a U.S. Navy ship. We're just going there to check it out. Don't be alarmed. He never let him get there. Why? Don't know. But this is something that should have been thoroughly investigated. Johnson should have been called to the carpet. McNamara should have been, because he was the first one to recall, and then Rear Admiral Lawrence Geist then said, you're neither big enough nor man enough to prevent me from sending rescue planes to a ship in distress. And that's when Johnson came on and said, basically, get those planes back or you'll be pushing pencils. Which Admiral Geist told to the senior officer who was medevaced from Liberty to America, to the USS America. He told him that in private, and he told this officer, Dave Lewis, who was wounded, he told him, and Dave Lewis was in charge of the cryptologic department, the research spaces on board the Liberty, where Phil said it was 294 crew. About 200 were part of the Naval Security Group, which were communications technicians, and the other 100 were ship's company, and they made the ship go. I was in the Navy, I was on a submarine, and I was in engineering. I was a nuke electrician, so I would be part of what would be called ship's company. I wasn't a spy, and neither was Phil.
Right.
So what he told Dave Lewis was that, and this was just a few days after the massacre, what he told him was that I need to tell this to somebody. You're the most senior guy. He told him that Johnson personally recalled the rescue aircraft. And he said, I just want somebody to know, but you have to promise me that you'll never say a word about it until I pass on. Dave Lewis agreed to that. It was on the 20th reunion of the massacre that Admiral Thomas Moorer, I believe it was, former Joint Chiefs of Staff and Chief of Naval Operations, came up to Dave Lewis and said, hey, are you going to tell us what Admiral Geist said? And he said, well, I can't. I was sworn to secrecy. And he said, I guess you didn't hear. Admiral Geist passed on. And that's when Dave told his story. Of course, he was attacked by the usual suspects, but that, in fact, is the truth. The man is telling the truth. Johnson did recall the aircraft. They made them wait nearly 18 hours for any help to arrive. It's a national disgrace, and that's why I got involved as a Navy man, finding out about it and being completely flummoxed. Like, for example, what Leon said earlier, a lot of military men, when they hear about the Liberty, their first thought is that, no, this can't be true. It's some kind of conspiracy theory. But once you study it and research it, you find that, yes, not only did it happen the way it did, but it's even worse than you thought. And that's the purpose of the book, is to bring this story in this fashion, in this style, to the layperson, so they can find out. And, of course, the ultimate is the full-length feature film.
Dave, what was the publication date of the book, if you know offhand?
Say that again?
I say again, the publication date of the book, when was it released?
Oh, the book was just released. We had a full-page, full-color ad in the New York Times Holiday Book Review section, and that was December 3rd. So it was released then. Okay. And we have a Navy man who supports us. He put up the funds for that, because that's certainly not cheap. And we have more ads coming out, which will bring this story as I said, to the average person, to the lay public.
Outstanding. Well, that's just, we're right at 1 month since the publication. I have not read McNamara's autobiography. I know he admits in the autobiography that the Gulf Tonkin incident never happened. Did he mention anything in the autobiography? To either one of you gentlemen know about the USS Liberty?
Yeah. The one thing about this character, McNamara, he disgraced the fine men who were boys aboard the Liberty by stating that he doesn't recall anything about it. So
really,
yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
Come on.
Yeah, that's what he said. He doesn't recall anything about the Liberty. So that's like George H.W. Bush saying he doesn't remember where he was on November 22nd, 1963, which he did.
Yeah, right. Well, anybody with an IQ above room temperature knew where they were on that particular morning. Amazing. Leon, you were in the Navy as an officer and discharged and living as a civilian before you ever heard about the USS Liberty, weren't you, sir?
Yes, sir. When I first heard about it, I thought, like he said, it was a conspiracy, and then this is almost the way they're covering this up is very much like how Turkey is using blackmail about their, genocide of the Christian Armenians. Anywhere from 1-2 million were killed. And when I was in Jerusalem, right after 9/11, I saw a sign that said the Armenian Holocaust. And I walked back to the Camp David Hotel and I asked one of the staff there, I said, "Are you Armenians?" He said, "Yes, my grandparents were killed there." And then I pursued that and I read the books on it. So, to see the political machinations of both countries and all the countries involved, it just blows me away. And so, I realized that, they never discussed this in the military. And even though it happened and during the Vietnam War, I knew more about the USS Forstall catching on fire than I knew about something that killed more people and was more politically motivated than this. So it just blows me away that it could be hidden so well. But I know about need to know and compartmentalization, so this makes sense. But I just could not believe that it took me 15 years, 20 years out of the military to find out something of this magnitude.
Amazing. Well, gentlemen, here's another little historical tidbit. If the Navy or the Air Force had sunk one ship in Vietnam, the war would have been over relatively quickly. Haiphong Harbor is where almost all the weapons of war material was offloaded at the only deep water port that North Vietnam had. And there was a dredge that kept that port open because the river brought in such a massive amount of silt that it would have quickly silted in and no longer been a deep water port. And I have no doubt whatsoever that all the flag rank officers in the Navy and probably most flag rank officers in the Army, Air Force, Marines also knew this, but nobody would sink that dredge to stop the war as should have been done. Did either one of you know that?
Yeah, I think you talked about it once. Once
I've talked about it on air. Well, yeah, Leon, you've heard me, yes. But Dave, are you aware that dredge was the only thing keeping that war going over there?
No, I wasn't, and I'm not really. I was born in 1960, so I was in the Navy in the 80s, right. From 1980 to 1988. I served aboard the USS Skate, which was a fast attack nuclear sub. The Skate was the first sub to surface at the North Pole. It actually did that the year before I was born in 1959. So no, I'm not really an expert at military history. It was this particular issue that really got me into the military history angle when I found out about the Liberty, and I decided that I was going to do something about it.
Well, good for you. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, thank you. And we actually are having some success with spreading the word. We have a couple of heavy hitters who got the book, and they are about to promote the book. And so once they do, if they're allowed to by media masters, at least some of them, then this story is going to get out pretty fast, pretty quick.
Well, this book needs to be on Fox News, obviously, but
that's actually one of them.
Right.
I'll say that that Judge Napolitano.
Yeah, this would be right up his alley.
Yeah, he ordered the book. So
well, good for him.
Yeah, we're just waiting to hear from him. And like I said, if this does happen, as you said on Fox News, it's gonna take off.
Well, we'll be praying for that outcome because that's what needs to happen.
Absolutely.
And I think that all our people in the military need to be aware of this so that this kind of thing can't happen in the future. And we have President Johnson, in my opinion, was a war criminal for a lot of reasons. But if we ever end up with another war criminal in the Oval Office, that our flag rank officers will refuse unconstitutional illegal orders and do the right thing, which was what should have happened on June the 8th, in my opinion.
That's absolutely right. Johnson, and most of them are, most presidents are war criminals because of the things they do. But Johnson particularly, as is illustrated from this national disgrace, Johnson particularly is someone that should really come under the microscope. People should see what he did, how he did it, the things he did, how many lives were destroyed because of this man. And of course, it all was kicked off with the brutal murder of Kennedy in broad daylight as a sign to everybody else that if you want peace, well, this is what's going to happen to you. And that's when, of course, Eisenhower warned on January 17th, 1961, 3 days before Kennedy got in, about that military-industrial complex, which I'm sure, as a matter of fact, I know, most Americans are completely clueless about. And they took over after Kennedy was wiped out in a second.
Right. That's what they did. If you got a question or comment, ladies and gentlemen, give us a call at 800-313-9443. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 2nd of January, visiting with Dave Gahary and Leon Green. We're talking about the USS Liberty. There's a tile on my website at thelibertyman.com. Just click on that tile, and you'll be right there at the website where you can order the book and keep up to date on what's going on with the movie. Dave, are you in the movie?
Yeah, no, I'm not in the movie. What happened was, actually, I don't know. I might be, but I really don't have any desire to be in a movie. But what actually happened was the genesis of this project began at the end of August in 2015 when I was moving out of the great state of New Jersey to the great state of Florida, and I was in a Penske truck, a moving truck, driving over the mountains of Pennsylvania in the evening when Phil called me to do something. And I had known Phil for several years. I had interviewed him, met him, and we got along, but we never really communicated regularly. And he had some idea about perhaps writing a book or doing something. I didn't quite know what he wanted to do, but as it unfolded into Erasing the Liberty, we had decided that, well, the 50th anniversary, and really it shouldn't be called an anniversary, but the 50th observance or commemoration of the massacre was coming up, and geez, we really should work not just on a book, but on a movie. And there are people over the years, one actually a West Point graduate who, like Leon, when he first heard about the Liberty, he thought it was conspiracy theory. This fella, a great guy, Merlin Miller, he actually ran for president here in the United States. And Merlin had written a screenplay about the assault, the attack, the massacre, and a few other people have. But nothing has ever been done for one reason or another. And so Phil and I decided that we were going to not just do the book, but we were going to do the movie. So that was how it began, and we already have several people who are in the film industry lined up, ready to go, one being an award-winning composer who is going to do the score of the movie completely free. And Mike Rivero here on RBN. He is going to manage the CGI, the computer-generated imagery.
Really? What a talented guy! I had no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So people are just, and I say in a kind of a joking fashion, all we need is the money. But that's going to come, and this is going to be done. This story is finally going to be told. You see, because here we haven't even mentioned this. Here's the most horrible part of the whole story is that the USS Liberty is the highest decorated ship in the history of the United States Navy for a single action, and nobody knows about it. Every year, Hollywood puts out, I don't watch movies, so I don't know, but I see them on the internet as far as advertising about them. They put out the biggest crap, the biggest garbage. Every year, never fails, there's a movie about that historical event, the Holocaust. Most movies have a Holocaust theme to them. But will they put out a movie about the most decorated ship in the history of the United States Navy? Never. And the reason is simple. It's because of who attacked the ship. Because you can see by reading this book, as soon as it happened, the first people to exonerate Israel were Jewish American politicians. That's where it began. Johnson even wanted to exact some kind of penance out of Israel, but he wasn't allowed because of the Jewish American politicians and because of the non-Jewish American politicians who are in the pocket of the Israel lobby, which has been fully documented by politicians who have come out and said, yes, you have to swear an oath of allegiance to Israel before you can even consider getting into office into the United States, which is, again, another obscene national disgrace. But that's where it comes from. It comes from the power of the Israel lobby and their refusal, by using weaponized terms such as anti-Semitic or anti-Semitism, their refusal to let this story out.
Well, it's going to get out anyway. They've kept a lid on it for half a century. And as of 4 weeks ago, the book was published, and a full-page ad in the book review section of the New York Times?
Yes, the largest holiday book review section. Every Sunday, believe it or not, I didn't know this because I don't read the New York Times. I'll see articles online, but the Sunday New York Times has, I think it's something like 1.1 million subscribers. Right. And that paper, if you go and buy it at a newsstand, they charge now $6 for a newspaper.
Well, when I lived in the city, I would get the Sunday New York Times every Sunday that I could. It's It's a fabulous newspaper. But I have been in the city for 13 years. Yeah, and that's if you want to get your book publicized, that is definitely a way to do it. We got a break. Call numbers 800-313-9443. What happened to the music? There it is. Okay.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 2nd day of January. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Starting a new year here, our project of locating images of continents with new coastlines will move forward and probably double, or if not triple, the number of movies and TV shows that show images of continents with new coastlines. It's a fun project. Really took off this past year in 2017, 2018. We're going to double or triple them. If you find an image yourself of a continent with new coastline, of a TV show or movie, get that screen capture to me. You get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. Also, of course, at my website, you'll find energy cleaners for sale. If you have issues with pain, it could be joint pain, arthritis pain, back pain, the energy cleaner will most likely help. Not getting a great night's sleep, you're tired of taking a pharmaceutical product to go to sleep, get yourself an energy cleaner. We're now offering, as of a couple of days ago, a 90-day money-back guarantee. You're risking nothing when you get your energy cleaner. Most people these days are getting a mattress pad to go with it at the get-go. It's the best way to get started. It's the most comfortable way to get started. You need to check out the mattress pads also at my website at thelibertyman.com. Yes, I do take PayPal. PayPal now takes payments, by the way, if you live in the U.S. It's the most secure way to make any payment online using PayPal. MasterCard, Visa. Checks can be sent to my address at thelibertyman.com. Toll-free hour line, 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We're visiting with Dave Gahary, and Leon Green has joined us. We're talking about the U.S. Navy, USS Liberty, and the attack that took place on the USS Liberty, June the 8th, 1967. This event, gentlemen, it flies in the face of everything the U.S. military believes about itself, doesn't it, Dave?
Yes, and Phil says that quite frequently, that the military wants you to believe that they'll leave no man behind. Now more than ever, women. But that's certainly not the case. They leave a lot of people behind. They left the Liberty behind. They left the Pueblo behind. There's still an unknown number of POWs, MIAs, people they think are KIA. Who knows? So, yes, the U.S. military does do that, and they do it regularly.
Right.
So this one particular incident here out of many is particularly revolting because of how it was done. One other thing, I think it was Leon who mentioned about the Medal of Honor. Yes, Captain McGonigal was awarded the Medal of Honor, not by the President of the United States, which is traditionally done. He was given the Medal of Honor by the Secretary of the Navy in the Washington Navy Yard because they were ordered by pro-Israel forces to minimize this ceremony because they didn't want, obviously, attention brought to a foreign nation attacking a United States vessel, especially the way that it did. But Captain McGonigal himself, who passed away, I believe it was in March of 1999, Captain McGonigal himself had researched if there were any other military people who were not awarded the Medal of Honor by the President. And there were actually two others in the past who were not. I don't know the particulars of why they were not, but Captain McGonigal is the most glaring example of this, the nation's highest military award not being handed out by the President of the United States, which he did actually, I believe it was even the same day that Captain McGonigal got his award, which was June 11th of 1968, so almost a year to the day when the massacre took place. Johnson himself awarded Medal of Honors to military people, I think that same day in the White House. So this was done on purpose. The power of the Israel lobby in the United States is another matter that is buried. Anytime somebody says anything about it, you're anti-Semitic, they don't want to hear about it, but in fact it goes hand in hand with the USS Liberty, because that is the main force that has kept this story buried for so long, and they have power over the media. They use their power in order to kill stories, to suppress stories. This is something that's well known. It has nothing to do with being anti-Israel or anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish or anti-anything. We want the truth. You want the truth. Leon wants the truth. The American people want the truth. We're going to give them the truth with a full-length feature film. And most importantly, let me just say that the way that we're going to give them the truth is by people making a donation to USSLibertyMovie.com. They have to make the donation because we actually could get all of the money we need from individuals who want a say in the project. We don't want any investors. We want people to donate $1, $5, $25, $50, $100, $1,000, whatever it is, because they want to see this movie done. Neither Phil nor I are benefiting in any way from any of the donations. We don't make a dime off of this, and we do this almost full time. So it's put a crimp in my family life for the past 2.5 years. It's done the same for Phil. We're completely dedicated to getting this out. All we need is help from average people across the country and the world, because about 25% of our support comes from overseas.
Well, there's, on the donate section of the website, a person can pay with PayPal, which is about as simple and quick and easy as it can be. And I want to encourage people to check out the website, check out the what's going on here with the book, buy a copy of the book, make a donation for the movie, and let's move forward to get some resolution that's been waiting for half a century. This needs to happen. It really, really does need to happen, doesn't it, Dave?
Really, the main reason it needs to happen, for me anyway, is because I was at the 50th reunion in Norfolk this past June, and I got to meet about 35 survivors. Spent time with many of them for many hours, and I had met several survivors before, of course, including Phil. And one of the things that really hit home to me was, and you don't have to be a military person or specifically a Navy guy in order for this to happen, I don't think. But one of the things that really hit me hard was the look in some of these survivors' eyes. That here it is, 50 years later, They didn't try to murder anybody. They were just doing their jobs. In fact, many of them were out on the deck sunning because it was not a warship. It was a spy ship. And they didn't ask for this. Anytime these poor guys tried to bring it up, they were labeled as Jew haters, Nazis, anti-Semites. And I made a commitment. I said, the Liberty's not going to be buried, not while I'm alive, not on my watch. I'm going to do whatever I can to get this story out. So yeah, it does need to be told, if for nothing else than the remaining survivors. And by the way, sadly, several of them, survivors and supporters, have passed on since we began the book.
Well, that's unfortunate, but given the grievous nature of some of those wounds that some of those men suffered, I'm surprised they lived as long as they did, many of them. What a story. Now, there was 450 caliber machine guns on that ship. Did the Israeli Air Force knock all 4 of those out, I guess?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, those were the first to be targeted.
I bet.
And the rockets went through the gun tubs and through the people inside the gun tubs as well. The next to be targeted were the antennae. 45, as Phil mentioned, were on the Liberty. 44 were hit because one was down for repair and it wasn't generating heat. So they had no reason to go after that one. That was the one that was jury-rigged by one of the sailors to get the SOS out. And the next thing they hit were the watertight hatches. So this was a perfectly executed military operation designed to take all men to the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. So any way you look at it, any way you study it, it was done in such a way as to sink the Liberty, send them all to the bottom, and that was the plan. Fortunately for the Liberty, it didn't sink, and many people don't realize how close we came to World War III because of Israel's reckless action in not just doing what it did to the Liberty, but that illegal land grab, which is the genesis of all modern-day terrorism, because many people don't realize that the only terrorism that existed prior to Israel's illegal land grab during that Six-Day War in 1967 came from Puerto Ricans. There was no such thing as Arab terrorists, Muslim terrorists. It was primarily from Puerto Ricans.
Amazing. We got a couple of callers on hold here. We got John in Rancho Cucamonga. Good morning, John. John, you're on the air.
Okay. Look, I'll get to the point here real fast, Dave. I've listened to Phil Turney and you on his show when he was a regularly scheduled guest on One Republic Broadcasting show, and he had his own show for several years after that. And I was. Hello? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so I called Phil several times about what I'm about to say, and I'm referring to the website. I believe it's James Ennis was responsible for putting most of it together. It's GTR George Thomas Ralph 5.com, www.gtr5.com, and the front page of the website describes in just general terms the attack as a heading, the cover-up as another heading, and then the third heading is the offensive one I find offensive. It is entitled Anti-Semitism and the Anti-American Apologists. And he starts out, I just read real quickly, 2 sentences. The USS Liberty Memorial website abhors the racist and extreme positions taken by anti-Semitic, Holocaust denial, conspiracy theorists, and other such groups which often seek to identify with us and usurp our story as their own. We have no connection with and do not support or encourage support from any of these groups, including National Alliance, National Vanguard, the New Order, National Socialists, the French Connection, Liberty Lobby, American Free Press, and get this, Republic Broadcasting, USS Liberty Radio Hour, that was Phil's show, Stormfront, or any such groups. And they've toned it down a little bit over the years. They used to mention specifically 9/11 conspiracy theorists. And I was just wondering, Dave, would you, I mean, here you are, you're on Republic Broadcasting show, thanks to John Stadmiller, And Phil's, is on public broadcasting. I asked Phil several times if he would repudiate this website, and I never did get any kind of an answer out of him. And I'm wondering if you don't think I'm making this up. I'm just reading right from the page.
No. I know about it. In fact, I'll repudiate it, and I'll even give evidence as to why it's there. They actually put up a new one as well. If you go to the Liberty Veterans Association's website, they actually put a new one up there that condemns these people. There's evidence that shows that the Liberty Veterans Association had been, and maybe still has been, compromised. One of the members had told me that he was offered a fistful of cash for just coming along here. So money was coming from somewhere. The Liberty Veterans Association, I believe, is compromised. They have nothing to do with this project. I do know several of the sitting board members, and they're fine people. But I think that, in my opinion, they're compromised. And I know for a fact that photos were sent to them years ago of the Liberty, the massacre, the first photos that were taken by the first helicopter, and this is in the book, actually. The first helicopter pilot and his crew took photos of the carnage. And sadly, the helicopter pilot sent the photos to the Liberty Veterans Association about 20 years ago, and they've been buried since. They don't want to let them out. So I personally don't trust these people. I don't trust anybody who wants to put me in jail for saying that I don't believe in the Holocaust. I could give a damn about the Holocaust. It means nothing to me. I can think whatever I want to think. Right. And in America, we still can do that. In Europe, you can't. There's 17 countries around the world that will put you in jail if you have a different view of this alleged historical event. What that says to me is that they want to make sure that you don't have your view, because your view might spread. It might be disseminated to other people. So the whole Holocaust thing, I'm not an expert at it, and I really don't care to be, but this whole Holocaust thing is suspicious. I would say that instead of calling somebody a Holocaust denier, I would say, are you a Holocaust admitter? You admit that this preposterous thing happened? How stupid are you?
Right.
But it's got to get to the point where people are brave enough or knowledgeable enough to be able to say these things. So yes, John, I'm with you 100%. Okay. I don't trust Ennis. First of all, he wrote the first book on the Liberty without being on the Liberty. He was one of the first wounded, and he wrote that book surreptitiously, the assault on the Liberty. And there's other information in the book that's inaccurate. That's the thing about this book, our book, Phil and I's book is that it's the most up-to-date, accurate book with testimony from 15 survivors and 15 other people who were in the military at the time and who have researched this and who has something to do with the Liberty. There's nothing fake in there. There are simply facts, and anytime, because I did the research on the book, anytime I couldn't find something that corroborated something, I left it out. And I think that's the big thing about the Holocaust, is that there's so many ways to blow holes in that story that they need this story. The powers that be need this story. They need to keep it alive because they want people to believe that the Jewish people are victims, because how can you be a victim and an aggressor at the same time? You can't. So right. All you got to do is look to what they do to these people.
We got a caller on hold. John, thank you for the call. We'll get back to our next caller.
Okay, thanks, John. Bye.
Thank you. hour back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 2nd of January. Our last caller on hold here, Dan in Missouri. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, gentlemen. In your endeavors to get this word out about the book and the movie, I've been watching a gentleman for a number of years on my free-to-air satellite. His name is William Federer, and I'm pretty sure John knows him. Isn't he from St. Louis, John?
I know Bill quite well. Yes, very well.
Wouldn't he be an outstanding ally in the fight to get this information out there?
If he would agree to do so, he would be a great ally. He's got a huge audience with his.
And he's got a great presence on TV, and his voice is great. I mean, John, make sure the people you're talking to get the information to get a hold of William.
I'll make introductions.
Yeah. I can't help but think that wouldn't really further that process. And I appreciate what you're doing.
Okay, thanks for the call, Dan. Appreciate it. We're down to the last 2 minutes here, Dave. It's been a good visit here. We got I have a worldwide audience, and so we got a lot of good information out here about the book, which was only published 4 weeks ago, published on December the 3rd, 2017. The movie's going to be coming out sometime this year. Ladies and gentlemen, we need donations for the movie. We need people to buy the book. It all works together, doesn't it, Dave?
Absolutely. And the purpose, the sole purpose of the book, besides educating people, is to raise funds for the movie. That's what I was saying. I mean, I write for American Free Press, and John brought up before American Free Press. I don't think it's a hateful publication.
Not at all.
I know it isn't. I mean, I write articles. I get calls and letters from subscribers who really appreciate what I do, and I appreciate them saying that. It means the world to me. So the purpose of the book is to not just educate people, but to get the funds to make the movie. It's not going to be cheap to do this. And let me just say that you had reached out to me to do the show. I don't know how that happened, but I very much appreciate it, and I very much appreciate you putting up the information about the book and the movie on your website, because it really is a difficult process here. I've never made a movie in my life, but if they could do some of the things they've done, then it shouldn't be too hard to do it. Like I said, all you need is the money. And we're going to get that from folks all around the world who want this story out. Many people are particularly disgusted about this story, and those are the ones who are doing what they're doing. I have a supporter in Pennsylvania who just got back from Ireland. And he brought 100 of these flyers I sent to him, and he was handing them out in the airport there in Ireland. So,
good for him.
There's people who really want this story out, and I think that's why it's going to be successful. But I really do appreciate you, John, contacting me.
Okay, it was a good show. We appreciate you being here, Dave. We'll be in touch privately. Thank you. Okay.
Happy New Year.
And thank you. Same to you. Okay, that's it for the day. It's first show of the year is in the can, as they say. Don't forget to get your medical supplies, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms and ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day, and God bless America.